What's going on, guys? Aarava here. Welcome back to my F1 2016 career mode, episode number 3 today for season 2 at the Chinese Grand Prix. And looking at season 1, hopefully this weekend will be a good one for us yet again. Obviously, China last season was the first point of our first podium at that season, so hopefully today we can do some good work in the race and we'll see how it goes in qualifying. Generally, as I've mentioned a few times before, China's not been my favourite circuit, not been my fastest one by any means on previous F1 games, but we'll see how it goes. You can see if you did miss episode number 2 of the Bahrain Grand Prix, I do recommend you go check it out, especially, you know, because the episodes are so spaced out now. I really would appreciate it if you have missed it, do go check that previous episode out, episode number 2. But if you missed that one, obviously you can see on the right hand side there previously on that screen, we are technically the second fastest team on the grid. I'm not too sure how much that really holds true, but during practice China didn't feel too bad with the track timeization pretty damn easily and got maximum points we could there at China. And then we move on straight to qualifying. We set one flying lap. That wasn't good enough actually, because we fast forward on through the session, we started to slowly move down the pecking order. Our teammate beats us there in that first run as well, so we have to go out for a second run. That first run was more of a banker lap as well. Didn't feel like it was the cleanest one ever, so I can definitely do better on the second run. So we've got that second set of super soft tires to do that. So we cross the line to start the flying lap there, already up on the delta kind of midway point through the first corner, though we lose a little bit in the initial part. Then we start gaining some time, some great amount of tens eventually on the exit of turn 2. You'll see in a second there, but at the moment it's going to be P7, but hopefully we can do better as we move through into the middle part of the lap. You can see we have gained quite a bit there in the middle part of the lap, and at the moment Hamilton's on pole position there. Our teammate is around P4, I think, so showing the McLaren definitely should be right up there, so hopefully we can try and match our teammate. At least as we come across the line, it's going to be P5 actually, just behind Jensen, so we've sort of matched our teammate. Couldn't quite beat him there, unfortunate, but I guess that's actually quite promising to see that both me and Jensen are there in 4th and 5th at China, which would technically be one of our worst tracks with the McLaren. But obviously we've got some Honda upgrades, some downforce upgrades, so we're feeling good, looking good ahead of the Grand Prix. Hamilton on pole, Vettel second, Rosberg third, so yet again Mercedes still out there as the out and out fastest team, but we'll see what we can do. Obviously, as I mentioned, season 1 was good for us here at China. Let's hope, knock on wood, that season 2 can be more of the same. So I'm ready, 5th place on the grid, feeling good about it. Let's go to the race for the Chinese Grand Prix. So as per usual, let's take a look at the race strategy ahead of the formation lap. We're changing around the default strategy because it's actually going to be raining in this race from halfway through. So I'm just setting myself up to hopefully do less pit stops than needed to kind of transition into that wet period. So we've switched up. We're putting the medium tyre on at the first pit stop. Very early pit stop because the option tyres, or the faster tyres I should say, the super soft tyres, don't go very long at China. They're very much like back in 2013, I think it was, where the super softs end up being pretty much a qualifying tyre. So a very early pit stop for a set of mediums. You can see there on the indicator, we should hopefully just be about to go on to this set of softs when the rain starts coming down. So the hope is that I can take those mediums long enough that I can just pit straight onto inters without having to go onto that soft tyre set, whereas the default strategy would have already had us on 3 stops by that point when the rain comes down. So hopefully we can try and beat some AI with that strategy today. Obviously we're behind Jensen Button, so I need to try something to try and beat my teammate at least, and then we'll see what we can do with the 2 Mercedes guys and the Ferrari up ahead. But you can see already very, very cloudy, so the rain definitely is coming down. It's just about if we can get the transition right from dry to wet, and then we should be pretty good. You know, China, I've said it before many times, not my favorite circuit, but so far in 2016, it's been a pretty okay circuit for me, so I shouldn't be complaining too much about it, and I'm feeling good about our chances, actually, to be honest, about this Grand Prix. So we line up here in 5th place next to Jenson Button, just directly behind Nico Rosberg, Hamilton on pole, and Vettel in 2nd place. But let's go to round 3 of this season. We go to 5 red lights for the Chinese Grand Prix. What can we do today? 5 red lights are out and we're on the way for the Grand Prix. Vettel's got a shocking start. 2 Mercedes go okay. We've had a great start. We've jumped my teammate and Vettel. We go into turn 1. Rosberg now squeezes Hamilton on the left, and we go really deep and tight on the right hand side. Really hugging the apex there, and we actually go down the inside of both the Mercedes cars as they're fighting over each other. So we basically just use the fact that the 2 Mercs are, you know, basically concentrating on each other. They've been caught napping there into turn 1, and we're into 1st place as my teammate now gets squeezed out by the Red Bull behind us, and he's down to 6th at the moment as he tries to fight. I think that must be, maybe Ricciardo as he goes and overtakes Vettel, but at the moment we're leading the way from the 2 Mercedes guys, then the Red Bull, Ferrari, and my teammate. So a pretty damn awesome start for us at the Chinese Grand Prix. On towards lap 2 now as we cross the line. Fast lap, of course, but their safety car has been deployed already. Very quick. Pretty much lap 1 almost, just as we cross the line. The safety car's been deployed, so that neutralizes the race, and that's going to help us out stretch these super soft tires. But let's take a look at what actually happened here. So this was on lap 1 immediately, down to the hairpin corner, and there's been a bit of a traffic jam here, you can see, with the bottom guys there at the back of the pack. So let's see what caused that. It was actually a Ferrari of Kimi Raikkonen up ahead of that little pack there. So this was down to the hairpin. Raikkonen comes through, tries to overtake a Manukar who's had a really good start, and ooh, gets spun round. And I'm guessing maybe gets caught up. The Toro Rossos are going slow. If we rewind it here, let's take a look. I think this is Kvyat. There's the spin from Raikkonen, and then I think the Toro Rosso, the second Toro Rosso of Sainz, gets caught up behind Kvyat, and that causes an absolute domino effect of a car park, basically. They all look like they're freaking parking up to go to Tesco there at the hairpin, and I think that was Bottas who lost a bit of his front wing, and that was ultimately why the safety car was called, according to the game. So the safety car is out. At the moment, you can see at the end of lap 2, we actually dive into the pits. So I did mention maybe we could stretch these tires, but I thought actually let's go onto the mediums right now, basically get a free pit stop effectively under the safety car. Hamilton's thought the same thing. He's in behind me, and basically we'll just effectively make a 0 stop. Yeah, it's effectively a 0 stop till the rain comes, pretty much. So hopefully this works out. It's a long way to go to the rain period, but the medium tires, the harder compound tires, should, you know, hold up fairly well here at China. It is quite a front tire limited circuit, so the front is going to be the one we're going to have to actually watch out for, not the rears necessarily. But we come out in 13th place, just behind Pascal Wehrlein on the soft tire. So obviously you can see a lot of the runners around us who didn't qualify in the top 10 are all starting on soft tyres, whereas me and Hamilton are now onto the mediums. I believe Rosberg hit onto soft tyres, so interesting split strategy there for the Mercs. But we now move on to lap 4. As you can see, green flag now. The safety car's been called in, and so now we'll try and get a move on here right up Wehrlein's gearbox, basically kissing his gearbox there on his rear end. But we'll try and make a move into turn 1. We have to get back in the slipstream. Can't actually outpace him in a straight line. That Manukar is very slippery in a straight line, but we go down his inside. We'll go down the inside of Perez there, be very opportunistic here. Maybe down the inside of Palmer as we try and make a 3-man overtake in the span of one swooping corner in turn 1. Then through turn 2, we go around the outside of Palmer. He's going to give us a fight though in that banana car of the Renault, and we'll go down on the right hand side, and that should be pretty damn easy. That Honda power kicking in compared to the Renault engine, and our car is working well for now. And the medium tyres surprisingly feeling okay. I mean, in practice, the medium tyres, when I was doing the track acclimatization, really didn't feel that well. Obviously, it's a harder compound, so the tyre doesn't really rubber in too much. It takes a while to switch on, but here in the colder conditions, working quite well here. So this might be the perfect strategy for us, although Hamilton is on the same strategy, so we'll have to watch out for him. But we set the fast lap of the Grand Prix on that lap, on towards lap 6, and we overtake Hulkenberg with ease. Into turn 1 we go, and we're up into 4th place now. Some people have made their pit stops, and now we're looking at the podium positions of Kvyat and a Williams car of, I think that's Massa there, and then leading the way, I think, is the other Toro Rosso. But as we go on towards the last corner, you'll see Kvyat and Massa peel into the pits. That actually puts me off a little bit, and we go a little bit wide, as I usually use other AI cars to judge my braking zone for that final corner usually. But you can see Sainz is there in 1st place at the moment, so Toro Rosso is not doing too bad considering they were held up by Raikkonen's spin there for the safety car. At the moment, Ricciardo sets the fast lap of the Grand Prix, although although I'm pretty sure he and along with Rosberg are on soft tyres, so that's probably not too much to worry about in terms of our pace. We move on to lap 10 now. We can see we're in first place now. Science makes pit stop. And now it's pretty much just going as far as we can into that wet period, basically, and just seeing if the tyres will hold on. Buttons into the pits there. You can see teammate in the pits, but yeah, we're just going as long as we can, and hopefully, knock on wood, we can just pit straight onto the intermediate tyres when the rain starts to fall, and we can try and manage this gap to Hamilton on medium tyres, who will pretty much be doing the same thing as us, and we move on 4 laps later, indeed, to lap 14. That's exactly what me and Hamilton have been doing. He's been keeping me honest, though. He's actually been catching me now in these last 2 laps, as my tyres have been starting to wear out on these previous lap 13 and lap 14 laps. You can see Massa's now in 3rd place. Obviously, the likes of Rosberg, Ricciardo, my teammate Button, all on soft tyres, so they had already made another pit stop, so it's just me and Hamilton on this strategy. But you can see I'm really starting to struggle with these tyres. Big oversteer moment there on the exit of that corner, and into this next one, a lot of understeer going on the curb. You can see Hamilton's basically gained half a second there in that one corner, and as I look at my delta on my indicator on the right hand side, look at the left front tyre. That is so close to potentially getting to a puncture, but you can see there, Sergio Perez retires and completely saves our bacon. He causes a safety car, literally perfect time to perfection. You would have thought I actually paid Sergio Perez to go out the race, because look at that, the left front tyre and the right front, that is getting dangerously close to tyre puncher territory. So onto that same lap at the very end, we come into the pits, and I'm literally just praying and praising Force India and Sergio Perez for the fact that they caused this safety car, because it means we can come in onto the soft tyres and just have that kind of, you know, peace of mind that we're not going to get a puncher. Hamilton actually continues on, I think that is. We're going into the soft tyres, so it looks like Hamilton's maybe kept his tyres a little bit better, but we could not continue on, because that was definitely going to be a puncher at some point, especially if we locked up. That can definitely straight away puncture the tyre at such bad tyre wear rates, so we had to go on to a fresh set of tyres. I chose the soft tyres because I wasn't too sure when the rain's coming. You can see it's overcast there, probably a little bit more overcast than it was before. We come out in 6th place behind Ricciardo and Sainz there. We're still on the safety car, got a few more laps for that, but the rain will hopefully come in the next 5 laps, and that will be good for our soft tyres. Soft tyres can definitely go those 5 laps, but I didn't want to go until that set of super softs, because that might have not gone the full distance. So this is why Perez is out of the race. This is why the safety car was called out. Perez, a simple engine failure. We've seen it quite a few times, actually, at the end of Season 1, where all the engines were wearing out quite a bit. So Sergio Perez, that's why he caused the safety car. But onto lap 16, indeed, we actually all file into the pits 1 lap later, because it is already time for the intermediates. I was thinking about 5 laps till intermediates. No, it's already time for intermediates. You can see Hamilton is behind me on medium tyres, so it looks like he did end up pitting, and he pitted for another set of medium tyres, which is a little bit stupid of him. You can see Rosberg there jumps Hamilton, and he's going to be ahead of us by the time we come in for our pit stop. But yeah, onto intermediate tyres. I believe my teammate Button has already made a pit stop onto intermediates on the previous lap, so he's done really well there. And actually, speaking about us gaining positions by going straight into inters from the medium tyre, with the safety car, it actually screwed us over. You know, obviously it saved us from not getting a puncher on the medium tyre, but if you think about it, in reality, it's actually screwed us over a little bit, because obviously people like Button have been able to pit 1 lap earlier than us onto intermediate tyres, so it means now we're going to have to do some overtaking here as we go on to the restart of the safety car, filing through to the hairpin. You can see I'm getting right up Jensen's gearbox, because as much as we're teammates, and obviously I don't want to kind of, you know, ruin his race as well, I want to get a move on. I feel like I'm faster than him at the moment. So through the final corner, Nico Hulkenberg has retired. It's been a bad race for Force India. His engine's blown up, so a very, very poor race for Sahara Force India there. 2 engine blowouts there as we now try and overtake Button. You can see Verline behind us, and the Manicar's trying to have a look at us, but we go down the inside of Jensen, and we're up into P6. He tries to maybe go down my inside, so I leave him the room and go very, very wide there, because I don't want to hinder Jensen's progress and maybe make him susceptible to be overtaken by that Manicar. So we're up in 6th there, and Jensen moves down to 7th, and now we can try and get a move on here. Obviously, we've seen so many times this season, we've pretty much been masters of the intermediate conditions. conditions. We've been going so well on inters so many times. Malaysia last season, China last season in Season 1, and I'm feeling very good. You can see the amount of traction I'm getting on Raikkonen. We just walls past Raikkonen there as if he's like on dry tyres in these conditions. Absolutely awesome stuff, and we got so much good grip here. The downforce is really kicking in right now. You can just tell we're catching up on Ricciardo in the Red Bull, which should also be a pretty nifty car on the downforce there. And you can see up ahead, I think that's a Williams car holding up Rosberg for the race lead, but probably Rosberg will slipstream him down the back straight. But can we try and get Ricciardo here as he's getting held up by, I think that's Sainz in the other Toro Rosso, as we go down the inside of Ricciardo, locking up on the right tyre for good measure, but we managed to control it and we're around the outside there and we're up into 4th place. And now we'll get on to the sister team Toro Rosso, Sainz here down the back straight. But yeah, absolutely awesome, and I've been loving the fact that I can actually out-traction the AI this year in the wet conditions. I'll admit it, I'm really not that great at throttle control. I don't try and act like I am good at it. I do have quite a big lead foot, but this year, on this year's game, there's a really good medium I found on specifically intermediate conditions. When it goes to full wets, I'm actually horrible again, but in intermediates, for some reason, I can just find this really good medium of throttle control where I can out-traction the AI for the first time in pretty much the history of F1 games, which is absolutely awesome to me. It just makes it so much more fun to race in these conditions when you do have that confidence. And you can see we waltzed past that Toro Rosso there very easily into the hairpin there. And now we're on the back of Massa, who has been overtaken by Rosberg, as I said, down the back straight. That was always going to be the case. The Mercedes car, the works Mercedes, going to be faster than that Williams in a straight line. But we're going to try and feed it around, do a bit of a switchback move on Massa there, get the wider, tighter line, get better traction off that because we're using the wet part of the circuit on the inside to actually get the traction on the inters on the rear tyres, and we make that move very, very easily. And now we're in the back of Nico Rosberg going to that corner. You can see I'm gaining so much time just going into the apex there as the downforce kicks in on this McLaren, and we move later on onto this same lap 19. We're slipstreaming Nico Rosberg here down to the hairpin. We're going to go for it. Can it be a similar move like we were on Toro Rosso? No, it's not. We lock up, double lock up, and Rosberg does a switchback move very, very easily there as I go just so deep and wide. So not able to make the same move like we did on the Toro Rosso there, but can we just try and feed it through the final corner, maybe get a good run on Nico down the back, down the pit straight, I should say. As you can see, a little bit of oversteer, have to control that as we move into lap 20 towards lap 1, getting the slipstream. Here we go, down the inside of Nico Rosberg, hit the apex, go a little bit wide, squeeze him a little bit, but he's still there on the outside. But we've got that place and we're back up into 1st place of the Chinese Grand Prix, and pretty much that was a case of then controlling the race and just seeing this through. Rosberg, to be honest, fair play to him, kept me honest throughout this entire last part of the Grand Prix. You can see he's still there in the mirrors there and on the mini-map. Ricciardo's not too far back as well, as he's overtaken the Toro Rosso and the Williams there, and he's going to be in 3rd place by the end of this race. You can see Rosberg did keep me honest there, so fair play. I had to make sure I kept concentrated, so it wasn't exactly an easy last part of the Grand Prix. I had to make sure he wasn't out-tractioning me or anything like that. We didn't make a mistake, but we come through the final corner. We haven't made a mistake, and so we're going to come through now for our very first win of this season here at the Chinese Grand Prix. Get in! Absolute scenes here at the Chinese Grand Prix, back on the top step of the podium there to beat Nico Rosberg to 1st place. And we didn't actually get the strategy right today, but we made up for it with just our general, pace over everyone else in the wet conditions on the inters. We had to fight for that win. We had to get those places back, and that move, the very quick succession of moves we made in the inters conditions really did spark the way for this win. Once we got past Rosberg, controlled it. Absolutely awesome feeling to have that pace over a Mercedes car at the end there, and that's an awesome podium and a great way to finally get that win. I think in Bahrain we might have been on for a podium at least, and we mucked it up with the strategy, but we finally got it right. Well, technically we didn't get the strategy right, because if it didn't rain we would have mucked up, but the fact was we're still able to make it back there. So we've got on the board there in terms of our first race win in this season. That means we move up into 3rd place in the Drivers' Championship, so exactly what I want to see, moving up the ranks, because this season, this is the goal, to go for the Drivers' Championship and potentially the Constructors. So great to see we're moving up in the world, in the standings, up into 3rd, right behind Ricciardo and Rosberg. So early on, looks like this Chinese podium is going to be your top 3, maybe potentially Rosberg, Ricciardo, and myself. Surprising not to see Hamilton up there, but I'm sure eventually he'll get back into it. But you can see we also move up into 3rd in the Constructors as well, so that's good to see, ahead of Ferrari for now, who have had a pretty poor start to this season, you must say. So a lot like maybe the real life 2016 season, or maybe even worse. So hopefully this is not a sign of things to come for them real life in 2017. But we beat our rival there, Ricciardo, on a few fronts, but Ricciardo managed to snag us on the fast lap there, unfortunately. But all in all, a fantastic weekend. Guys, if you have enjoyed the video, smash that like button. Let me know what you thought in the comments below. New rounds in, and do subscribe for weekly Formula 1 content. Our first race win of this season. Hopefully it's one of many this season. I'll see you guys next time in the next video. Hope you enjoy the rest of your day. Goodbye.